Hello, everybody. Welcome to another special edition of the Breakthrough Show. My name is Jessica Dugas, intuitive mentor, helping you to live with less stress and more joy in your life. So I had an incredible guest today, Aaron Fisher, but right before, like literally 10 seconds ago, he just disappeared from my Zoom. So something might have happened tech-wise. So we're going to give him a few minutes to come back, and then I will introduce him to you all as well. Let me know if you're here. Say hello in the comments of the video if you're on with us live. If you're on with us on the replay, Aaron's back now. If you're on with us on the replay, give us a hashtag replay and let us know that you are there, and we'll be happy to interact with you after the show. So as I mentioned, I've really been enjoying these Breakthrough Special Editions that we've been doing, and I'm really excited to have an old friend of the Breakthrough from season 2 back with us today. And I wanted to take a minute and give you a little insight into Aaron Fisher. So Aaron was born with an innate passion for helping others. He created a charity to facilitate schooling for kids in remote towns throughout China, spoken at motivational business development seminars, and has coached Fortune 500 companies with leadership and personal development skills. He is the brand ambassador for Copper 88, helping people all over the world to feel better, and is also in the process of writing a book. He travels, he runs marathons, triathlons, all of the things, does always all over the place. I'm so excited that we've been able to get him back on the show today. You may remember him from season 2 of the Breakthrough Show, where he talked about taking his first breath in life. Everybody, please welcome back to the show, Aaron Fisher. Yay.
Hello, hello.
Hi, I'm glad you're back, like on the show and on the Zoom.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I'm like, hello, and then it just seemed to click back right away.
I just went ahead and started the show, and I said, I know he'll be right back. It's okay. It's all good. I had the faith. I'm really, what have you been up to this summer? I know you've been, like I mentioned, you're doing triathlon. You've been busy.
Yeah, from running an ultra to endurance courses to I just finished a triathlon to just working on some really cool projects, meeting really amazing people, hearing stories, and just being all over the place. It's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal summer so far, and there's still like a little bit left, so I'm excited about it. And well, this weekend I have another competition, another race to go to. Yeah.
It sounds exciting, and I think being so busy and doing so many things and meeting so many amazing people and traveling the way you do, I feel like it ties in so well with what we wanted to talk about on today's show, which is the value of being present in your life, because I'm sure that in all these experiences that you've had, you really want to be present to enjoy each and every one of those moments, right?
Well, of course, being present is something that a lot of people talk about. Yesterday on my Instagram, I asked people, like, what does being present mean? And people are like, to witness, to just be, to just live in the moment, clarity, to be aware of the things that are around you. And they're great. It's great stuff to know, it is. But logically knowing it and actually doing it are two different things. Right. I can read a book on being present, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to be present while I'm reading the book.
It's kind of like we talked about that when you were on the show before of, you can read a book about swimming, but if you jump in the water with the book about swimming, that's not going to help you swim.
It is not going to happen. And the thing is, like, we're designed in so many ways not to be present. Like, we're designed where that ding, that dong, that mail, that sign, that sight, that picture just takes us away from so many things. Like, we're literally at the point where psychology and technology have intersected at such a great point that has done amazing things, but has destroyed a lot of our focus.
Right.
And being present can be extremely hard. This is why more and more relationships are having issues. This is why more people are having problems connecting with themselves. because what's happening is like, it's like phone, ding, message, post, dopamine. It's just like, but you're feeding so much into, and I will say it, an addiction, that you're not really focusing on what the cure is, and the cure is yourself. Like as we said, like, yeah, I do a lot of runs and races, and I do this because it's the way to ground me. I wake up in the morning and the first thing on my mind is not like, oh, I can't wait to run. The first thing on my mind is, I want to sleep. I don't want to be like, I'm looking for every possible excuse ever not to do the things I want to do. And it's just like, and then I'm searching in the past, and then I'm trying to, well, if I don't do this, and in the future it's this, and like, I'm focusing like on all these things where I'm just like, as my mind's racing, I'm like, okay, fine, but I'm slowly putting on my socks, putting on my pants, getting out the door, and then I'm running, and then everything's like, what? Where did you go? And then I'm running. And the thing about running is you become focused, you become present. So I'm always talking to myself, focus on your breath. How does my body feel? What do you need? And from kilometer to kilometer, breath to breath, I'm really focusing on myself and being in there. And then the thoughts and the feelings and emotion will be present. They will come, they will show themselves. Then I take my breath and I continue to be focused. Because if I choose not to be, and it is common that your brain will wander, I might trip over the sidewalk. I might run into a tree. A car might hit me. There's a lot of things that being present can actually help us. And a lot of things that not being present can hurt us.
I agree. I would love to know, for any of you that are watching right now, I saw Rita, I saw Kat. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I would love for you to comment below, whether you're on live or whether you're on the replay right now, and let us know what being present means to you in your life. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. I imagine talking about the races, that even that can be a little bit of a challenge to stay present, because if it's a race and there's a finish line, right? Is it ever a struggle for you to not think about that finish line, to not, to be, or is it maybe a balance between being present and breathing and right where you are, and also remembering, I've got to get across the finish line eventually?
So I really like that you asked that question, because when I used to start running, it's just like, all right, let's go, let's run. And like on the right, I'd see some people running behind me. To the left, I'd see that. And I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta push. And I would finish the races, but I didn't really enjoy it. I got to the point where I slowly just said, it's about me and my moment here. And it's about me learning how to fuel my body on gratitude. I don't have to run. I choose to run, and I get the ability. It's a gift to be able to do this. I'm blessed that I can do this. So when I'm moving, I'm taking in the breath, and I'm talking about how grateful I am and how blessed I am, and focusing the body. And the funny thing about that is, the more I started doing that, the more I started being present, the more I started thanking the cops and the volunteers and everybody for being there, and just truly being centered and grounded. My speed and my time is way better than it used to be. I don't think about the finish line. The finish line is the bonus.
That's so interesting that you've had this sort of journey from being in that, and notice the difference. I think sometimes when we adopt these different principles in our lives, even if it's just something like learning to be present, maybe we don't see the payoff of it. Maybe we don't see in our lives like, okay, I'm being present right now, but what's that really doing for me? I love that you described that in terms of the race, and seeing that it actually made a difference in your time, in your enjoyment level of it. I think that that's really interesting to think about. And I want to bring up something that I'm kicking myself because I did not write down who I was listening to, but I was listening to a podcast, and someone had a rather controversial opinion about being present that I hadn't heard someone say out loud before. And they had said that it's actually detrimental to expect yourself to be present all the time, because when we do that, we don't keep in mind our past, that we forget the things that we've learned from, and maybe we're not motivated about the future. What's your thoughts about that?
I believe that it's not all about being focused on the present, because a lot of times, running businesses, or you want to be creative, it is about visualizing. It is about thinking about things outside and focusing on the future and what you want to create. And it is about watching yourself do things just sometimes before you do it. I believe that you need to honor the fact that we have the ability not to stay present is not a curse, it's a gift. The fact that we can see our future and we can visualize, and that allows us to have our dreams, helps us in the present moment start to do that. So for example, it's just like in my future, if I am visualizing me driving a certain car, that's a beautiful thing. That's a gift. It's like a me tapping into this idea that, one, I believe I have worth, that I can drive this car. Two, I have a belief that I can afford this car. And three, that I can attain it. Now let's focus on the present. What can I do to get it? And let's bring it back. You know, one of the questions I have for you, because I think this is so important. So listen, I do a lot of interesting things in my life, but the one thing that I don't do and that you do is, well, there's many, many things you do. What it is this, you're a mother. So one, you're an athlete of on a different playground, a different field, a different everything. As a mother yourself, with your children, how do you stay present with all of this?
I really think it's been something that has been not just a work in progress, and I've talked about this on the Breakthrough Show before and in my community. I've talked about the fact that this is one of those things for me that is a moment to moment practice. It's not like, well, I've decided to be present in my life and now I have arrived. Thank you. Like it's nothing like that. It literally, I have to wake up in the morning and decide to be present. Do I always feel like I'm completely 100% successful with it? Not always. But I think one of the things that has helped me be more present in that I'm a mom is that time really does go really quickly with the children. 1 minute they're a baby, and the next minute my oldest just turned 18 and is legally an adult, and I'm like, I don't even know what just happened here. You know? And so having children, I feel like, has been a fantastic practice for being present and being mindful of what's going on right now, because otherwise, I mean, you blink and you miss it. And I think that there's so many parts of that are so important for us to cherish as parents, and all the little things that, like, I complain, for instance, right now that my 3-year-old is very 3, and she's very has her opinion and tantruming a lot, and that's just, and while I'll sit here and go, oh God bless it, please stop. Like, you know, I just want it to be over. At the same time, I know that, like my oldest, you know, 15 years from now, I'm not going to hear that anymore. And it's going to be a different thing. And so I feel like that has been, children have been a catalyst for me almost in learning to be present and the value of it. How I do it is I think we've created a lifestyle for ourselves that we've been able to do that more. I think when we started homeschooling, the fact that I work at home and I'm not, you know, out all the time, I think I've created a life where I have the ability to be more present and more, you know, moment to moment with what I feel good about, you know. So that's a little bit of how and why we do it around here.
I think it's beautiful, and you really said something that's very, very powerful, because you're not going to have this moment forever. I learned to be more present with my parents. It's hard, because even though I'm 36 and I've achieved things and milestones within my life, I'll always be their baby. And sometimes talking to the parent, it's just like, like the best line is like, parents are the most gangster people in the world. Like, they'll talk shit to your face, but compliment you behind the back.
That says that. I need a t-shirt that says that. So
the best thing ever. Like, they're the most gangster. Like, they'll literally talk shit to your face, but behind your back, they'll be like, my son's the best. You know, a lot of parents, and you know what, not everybody has this, and I'm very blessed that I have that, but also it's like, like you said, I'm not going to have these moments forever.
Yeah.
So I'm learning to put my phone down a little more and talking to them. And,
Mm.
I start thinking about that with friends. I'm not going to have this moment forever. So I put down the phone. So back to what you're saying, do you need to be present all the time? I don't think so. But
Mm.
think to yourself about what times do you believe would be the most important? And to me, it's being with friends, it's being with family, and it's when I'm trying to work towards my life and my goals. I try to take away the distractions of the different beeps and the dongs and the different apps, and I focus on one thing and I put everything else away where I'm fully present. Because people talk about this thing called flow. When people are like, oh, last night I was working so hard, I just got into the flow of things. Well, what does the flow mean? The flow means that you finally caught up with the present.
Mm.
That's what flow is. When an athlete is just, everything just seems to like disappear, and all of a sudden they're just in this space, it's because they finally caught up with time. They finally caught up with the present. And when you do that, it's so amazing.
Mm.
So what does it mean to be present? What does it mean to fully be present? It means to honor yourself and take moments. It means to take time to catch your breath and understand that you don't have to get addicted to the emotions and the feelings and the things that are coming around, that you can take a moment and breathe.
Mm.
And in the moment, in the present moment, you can also realize that if I, start to act this way, well, I could already see the future. Let's bring it back. And let's have a conversation. Realize that they're not trying to hurt me or attack me, especially when there's argument. They're just sharing their truth, and it's triggering me. Now, the reason it triggers me is I need to figure something out for myself. Instead of being like, whoa, 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 you pushed my trigger. Now I'm going to push yours. That doesn't go anywhere. It's like back in the day, I came up with this idea, and it was called set the stage. And set the stage was stop, think, ask questions, gauge, and explore. So a lot of times when we're having a conversation and somebody says something, we're just like, you want to go ahead, but stop. Like, take that breath, think for a second, and ask a question. Because maybe the way that they said it was not the way that they meant it. So ask them a question. Be like, hey, I heard you say this. And then gauge their response and then explore. Because if you're going to yell and argue, well, it's because, and one of my favorite sayings is, your hearts are at a distance. And then you're going to yell and they're going to yell, and your hearts are going further and further and further and further and further away. And you're like, you can't hear me. You don't understand me. Because you don't need to yell if somebody's sitting right there, because the only reason you're yelling, the only reason we yell as humans is there's a distance. Mm-hmm. Or we're trying to be dominant in our territory. So if we're taking moments to breathe and really gain presence within it, it really helps. Mm-hmm. And knowing who do we want to be present with? When do we want to be present? What's important? It really makes a difference. So I think in life, the whole idea of presence is, understand your surroundings as well. Mm-hmm. So many of us think we're being present, but we're not. Mm. So my question to you is, how do you know the difference?
That's an interesting question, and I think so I want to bring this up really quickly, because on Friday's show for our Hot Topics, we're going to talk about laziness. Mm. And that word lazy. And for a few people that had commented on my post on Monday about it, have a little bit of triggers around that word, like I do. I hear that word and I'm like, that doesn't feel so good right now. And many of us may have had experiences where somebody said, maybe someone saw us doing something outside of what they thought we should be doing and said, well, you're lazy. And, and then it stuck with us in a way that's not, doesn't feel too good. And I think that I have to bring this up and joke, because I know specifically that someone's watching right now, that I know that they're watching. I go on often with my kids on Minecraft, and I play Minecraft with them on the computer, and it's really, it's a fun thing for us and for me to be able to be in their little world that they've created and the friends that they've made, and now I'm on there, and it's fun for me too, because they're not embarrassed, and they're not like, oh, that's my mom, you know, kind of like she's on here with me kind of thing. They've been super nice and just having fun together and everything. But people may look on my life and be like, you know, well, that's laziness, because you're not doing something towards your goals, and that's not being present, that's not, you know. But for me it is, and so I wonder if looking at being present is similar to that, where we look at it and our idea of what it means is different for everybody.
So the one thing that we need to understand is this, that everything's made up. Every word, everything is made up. The only thing that's not made up is the belief that we give to the word. So if you don't define your words, then you'll never be able to define your world. So for example, somebody, when I was younger, you know, somebody calling me stupid and dumb and things like that, it would just get me so upset. But, you know, I started redefining it. Well, what does stupid mean? Well, it means that I lack knowledge on something. It means that I need to gain knowledge on an item that I currently don't know a lot about. Well, that's true. So when somebody's like, oh, you're dumb, I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah, you know, I should learn more about this. And they're like, but it's like, what? I've disarmed your word. So the idea is this: instead of trying to fight a word with our belief, it's better to ask them to define the word. Because if it triggers us, well, what's your definition of this word? Well, my definition of laziness is this. Oh, okay, fine. Well, let me explain to you what I mean by laziness. Oh, fine. And then all of a sudden you're having a great conversation about what these words mean while being very present in the moment by explaining things. The biggest problem with people in love is, I want love. Oh, I want love too. Okay, but what's your definition? Because if you don't define it, and if you can't define it, then you're looking for something that you don't even know what it is. And you're getting very upset that you don't know what it is that you're looking for, and you're not getting it, which in the sense doesn't make any sense.
we can go around and around with that one. I have to point out Kat's comment really quick. She said, I learned what I call meaningful laziness, where I am present with myself, but to others, I would seem the laziest person on the planet. So I think that's good that we determine what presence, what laziness, what our own things mean to us. I love that redefining things or not defining things, you know, don't give it a definition if
I totally get it. And when it comes to it, it's just like, do you. Give yourself permission to do you. Give yourself permission to speak your truth, because it's your truth, and people don't agree with it. It doesn't matter, because it's your truth. And next, when you're talking about this idea of lazy, listen, there's a difference between lazy and taking a self-love day.
Yeah.
You know, I run, I work, I read, I do a lot of stuff, but God damn, I have my days where I don't do anything. I literally like, this is me day. And I just relax, and I lie down, and I eat, I do whatever I want. Not because I have this is a gift to be able to do that. It's a gift to be able to give back to yourself and to love yourself and to take these moments and to appreciate yourself, where you don't feel like you have to do. Because the problem is, nowadays, our society has made us think that if we're not doing something, then there's something wrong with us.
Yes, all of that, because I tend to get very fired up about that, because it really is. I remember being in a space before we started homeschooling the kids. And at the time, I had 4 of my children in 4 different schools. I was leading the children's choir at church, and I was there probably 5 days of the week, and doing all of this stuff, constantly running everywhere. Someone was sick, I was bringing them a meal. So, and I was just busy. I did not know the concept of lazy, of tired, of there was none of that. And I'll add to that, I didn't know the concept of self-care either. Didn't know that at all. And now, like when I was talking about before about creating the kind of life that we want, and creating a very different life for myself, now I will I'll take any time I want to, and I'll sit and I'll play my singing bowl for an hour and a half, and I'll just sit there and enjoy it. And someone said to me fairly recently, how do you have time to just sit there? How do you have time to just sit there? And I said, I take it. I take it because I need it and I want it, and it's good for me. And where I'm at in my life right now. And so I think we really do have to define what things look like for us, and maybe there is a period in our life when we have to be really busy, and presence for us in that moment may be presence in a lot of different things, maybe paying attention to a lot of different things. And then maybe you get to a point like me where presence could be 2 hours on Minecraft with my kids, or an hour and a half sitting and playing in my singing bowl, or breathing.
100%. The one thing in life that will always tell you the truth and will never lie to you is your breath. When we take moments to actually focus on our breath and remember our breath, that's taking a moment to be present. And when we do that, that relaxes our mind, it relaxes our body, it relaxes our soul, and helps us to think. Because when our brain is in that angry, anxious, crazy mode, it's very hard to come up with ideas and stuff, because we're thinking from a different state of mind. What does laziness mean? What does being present mean? Well, laziness, but it's just the word. It's just like my version, my belief of this word is not your belief. It's like some people are like, well, I work 18 hours a day. I'm like, well, that's great. I've learned how to work only 8 hours a day or less, because I learned that there's a difference between working hard and working smart. But because I'm not putting in your 18 hours does not mean that I'm not working as hard as you, or working as well as you. You know what I mean?
What's interesting is that can bring up things on both sides of that conversation, right? Like when the person said what they said to me about how do you have time to sit there for an hour and a half playing your singing bowl, literally the first thing that popped into my mind is, maybe I shouldn't be sitting here an hour and a half playing my singing bowl. Maybe I'm being lazy. Maybe I'm being, that was like the first thing that I thought of. And, but I'm in a place now where I'm like, no, like that it was a fleeting thought. A few years ago, I probably would have been like, I'm not playing my singing bowl for an hour and a half anymore because it's not the right thing to do, and then on the,
please
go ahead.
I was going to say, but it's not the right thing for other people to do. Doesn't mean it's not the right thing for you to do. We all recharge on different things. Like, the idea is, don't ever let somebody's opinion of you become your truth. I'm not you. The person speaking to you, do they have your kids and your husband and your lifestyle and your life? I'm going to share my story. I'm going to tell you my truth. I'm going to tell you who I am. But I'm not telling you this because I want you to be me. The only way that I'll enjoy this life is by you being you. That helps me to better understand myself, and vice versa. The second that I try to control you to be something means that I feel that currently I'm not. So I need you to be something that I'm not so I can feel that I already am. And that's it. If you're okay with it, then I don't have to make you become something, because you're fine with that. The quote that I use all the time is like Einstein. It's just like, if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it'll think it's dumb its whole life.
Yes.
So it's like, well, you should be doing this. No, nobody should. And, as I say, like the whole should, expect, assume thing that I talk about, nobody should do anything. Stop shooting on people. You do what you need to do. And if you can give love and support and guidance and do these things for other people, great. But if you need to control them, take a moment to sit back, be present with yourself, and ask yourself, what do you feel is lacking in your life that you're trying to force other people to have in theirs?
Yeah. I think that I love every time you say stop shitting on people. It always it always sets me for a loop. It always does every time. That the C acronym was something that we talked a lot about last time. I just dropped it in the comments of the live video as well. Make sure you guys go back and watch Aaron's episode from season 2, because it was really, really an amazing story he shared. Plus, talked about dropped that whole C acronym that just, you know, we all have adopted that now. That's a topic of conversation at least every couple of weeks. Hey, remember when Aaron said C? And it was so good.
The thing about C is I was talking, you know, I was having a conversation with my partner. We were having this conversation. She's like, well, C is one thing. She goes, but the opposite of C is I am. Because the should, the expected, the assume, well, where are you? You're not in the present. You're all over the place. But when you're focusing on the I am, well, what do you want? Like, what is it currently now in this present moment? And to understand that it's not on to other people to give you what you want. It's about you enjoying it, and other people will be other people. And it doesn't mean that they have to stay in our life, doesn't mean that they don't, but it's the idea of understanding that wave that you're riding. It's being very present with it and being like, he should do this. And I expect this is like, well, breathe, present. Otherwise, you're going to ride a wave and you're going to force yourself to go in the future, create a story, create a scenario, and then the result. And then you're like, and then you take that and then you bring it into the present. And you're like, this is all the things that you've done. And they're sitting there like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, you've already created a novel and I just ordered a cup of tea. Like, what's going on here?
I feel like sometimes that's where a lot of maybe miscommunication or fallouts in relationships come from, is maybe sometimes, you know, you might have one person that's able to have the ability to live in the present and to have presence in the moment, but then the other person maybe is focused on the past or what isn't happening and living in the sea as and shitting on them.
Oh, that's shitting.
So I think it's really interesting to think about all of it, and I could talk to you forever, my friend. We could be here another 2 hours and still be on this conversation. But I would love for you to take a minute and share with everybody maybe what you've got going on. Where can people find you? Tell them something good.
So with me, you can find me on Instagram, The Awakening Self, Facebook. You can also find me. I have my podcast with CarCast, where I just go around and just, honestly, I'm traveling around so much that I'm just meeting different people, having good conversations. Out around the city, events are going to be happening. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on this year. With all my contact, with all my information, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, whether you reach out on whichever platform it is, ask me questions, connect, share. The platforms are there not for me, but for all of us. Because the only thing is, it's like we can, it helps us to learn from each other, to share, to grow together, to understand this, to learn, to love, to appreciate. And it all happens by all of us speaking and sharing our truth, because sometimes by saying a certain sentence or a certain word, other people are like, oh, I didn't know I can say that. And then it gives them permission to start saying other things, because sometimes we're afraid to be away because we don't think others are being that way, when all of us are so similar. And the more we give that permission to be, to ask, to live, to love, the more other people will feel the same. So that's me.
I love it. I love it. I'm very happy that you were able to come back on the show today and share your thoughts about being present. And I love how it ties in with C and with everything that you've talked about on the show before, and with the things you've got going now with doing the races and triathlons and all of that. I think it all ties in beautifully. And I so appreciate you sharing your thoughts, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate everything about you. You're amazing.
All right, thank you. Make sure you guys connect with Aaron Fisher on his Instagram. Like he said, also his information is on our website at thebreakthroughshow.com. And also be sure to stay tuned and tune in for our regularly regularly, if I can speak today, regularly scheduled episode on Friday at 12 p.m. Central Time. We've got Wendy Russell coming on, who actually had her own HGTV show in Canada called She's Crafty. And she's going to be sharing not only an amazing story with us, but sharing with us about creating inspiration in our lives. Plus, we've got that hot topic I was talking about being lazy. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And we'll see you guys on Friday for that. Thank you guys all so much for watching or listening on any of our video or podcast platforms. And we'll see you next time on The Breakthrough Show. Bye, everybody.